The playoff boys are back.
The 7 seed boys are back.
The 7-seeders. Well, back. I've never actually been here with you, but the playoff boys are back.
Hey, that's right. And you know what that means. Low expectations and also still the same amount of despair if we lose.
Beanie boys are dead. We are now the playoff boys. We are no longer the poop boys. We're the playoff boys.
I feel like you were the poop boy.
Nope. You were...
We here.
We're stay.
You in the right direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. And this is GP. Yes. Folks, how we doing? Craziness abound. The regular season is officially in the books, and it is time for the playoffs. We got a lot to talk about today. We got the Lions clinching the #1 seed and the NFC North destroying the Minnesota Vikings by the time that fourth quarter rolled around. You got the Bears finally snapping their losing streak to the Packers. Oh, great. You got the Denver Broncos getting the 7 seed. The Commanders moving up to the 6 seed. And the playoffs are set. We'll take a look at those matchups, and there's already firings abound.
Man.
How you feeling this morning?
Nice. Feeling good.
Should be where.
Oh, I mean, dude.
Shutout twins.
We're the shutout boys as well. Call us the shutout boys, the playoff boys, the poop boys, whatever you want. We're all of them wrapped into one.
I feel like I didn't really poop a lot.
The poop mongrel boys, the mongrel poopers.
That's now we're getting worse.
Pooptastic.
Yep.
Dude. Okay. All right. Yes. We beat the Chiefs.
38-0.
38-0. Okay. I don't care if it's their second string, their third string. I don't care if they wheeled out children to play against us.
No.
Okay. The Broncos beat their asses.
Drop kick those kids.
Yeah, fuck them kids.
Yeah.
We'll kick your ass.
I kicked their ass.
I feel like that's what Dan Campbell would say. Like, he finds out the Lions are playing children. He's like, fuck those kids. We will bite their kneecaps too.
That's right.
That's how you got to get by in the NFL.
That's right.
What was funny to me is everyone who thought that the Broncos couldn't hang with Carson Wentz. Okay? Oh, are you worried about Carson Wentz? No, I told you I was not worried about Carson Wentz. I said there's this little layer of fear in my soul because of the last 8 years. But objectively, I said this is a good football team.
Sure.
We beat the piss out of the bad teams. We hang with the good teams. They're not perfect.
No.
So, yeah, it felt good to beat the Chiefs, and I do not believe the Kansas City Chiefs cared about who they play in the playoffs. I love the idea that the Chiefs, who have won 2 Super Bowls in a row, who went on the road last year through the playoffs, were scared to play the Bengals because that team beat them one time in the
Bengals fans. Don't listen to Perna. That's the only reason you need to make it.
I love the idea that they were scared of the Bengals.
That's what it was.
And honestly, the worst matchup for Kansas City is Denver because the Broncos have a defense, which the Bengals do not. Okay, we already took it down to the wire once with Kansas City. They just cared about resting their key players. We beat their ass, and it felt good, even with the caveat in there. Okay, I don't care about the caveat. Felt nice.
Hell yeah!
Come after me! I'm a man. I'm 40.
Oh, and I'm still alive.
Hey, what a way to start off your 40th year on this planet with a Broncos playoff berth. And here, David, I appreciate how audio scripted is going to be drunk. I got to actually hand it to the Denver Broncos because I know you put out a video. Haven't had a chance to take a look at it. It's the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I imagine you talked about this. I think it's incredibly impressive that heading into this season, a lot of folks thought the Broncos were going to be one of, if not the worst team in the league, right?
I had them at a roster in the league. No big deal.
I had them at a floor of 5 wins. I had a ceiling of 9 wins. So I was like, okay, maybe they could do that. Maybe they can impress, right?
Yeah.
But I think Sean Payton deserves a ton of credit for what he's been able to do, considering their dead cap was significant. They could barely do anything in the offseason except pay for Russell Wilson to get into the playoffs with the Steelers. And to take a rookie QB in Bo Nix, and like you said, they are not perfect, but to have them go out and ball out yesterday and to get into the playoffs, I know that there was a lot of concern these past 3 weeks because it was like, okay, just got to win it in, and it wasn't happening, and it wasn't happening. But for them to do that and clinch the 7 seed, bro, I don't care if they get blown out by the Bills.
No.
Like, that is an achievement, and it's something you could build upon for the next season. And the Broncos front office, they deserve a lot of credit for that one.
Yeah. Dude. I mean, I praised Walmart several times in my video yesterday.
I didn't say that, but okay.
Praise be Walmart. They do always have the lowest prices. And thank you, Walmart. So yes, I agree with everything you said. I did touch on, the expectations before the season.
Sure.
I went through, I kind of wanted to recap the game, and then also, why this win was so important for Broncos fans. It's the last 8 years of, the first few years after the Super Bowl, it's fine. You're thankful that your team won. You're like, okay, we got to find a coach now. We got to find a quarterback. I get all of that. And then it keeps dragging on, and you keep not getting into the playoffs. Every season seems to be more disappointing than the other. So I used footage to save myself time editing last night, because I did a video last year called every wrong decision the Broncos have made since winning the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And so I'm pulling shots from that, because I know I've got Kubiak in there. I've got all the shit I don't want to find. And there was a little part from last season where it was disappointing last year with Sean Payton, when the Broncos were at 1-5 or whatever. And I said, here's the thing. Maybe the Broncos, Sean Payton, he doesn't really care about winning right now. Maybe what he's doing is actually evaluating the young talent on his team to see how this team can rebuild moving forward. And after the season, if they actually commit to rebuilding, then that's fine. And I can respect that. And I'm saying that, I think that was in October last year. Not actually thinking that's what they were doing, but I think that was part of the process. And part of the reason the Broncos have had success this year was so many of the guys the outside world didn't know. Broncos fans knew, but even as Broncos fans, we're we don't know how good some of these players are. We all like them because they're our guys, but those guys have showed up. And the one thing I wanted to do that I didn't really get into last night is just touch on every single player who's performed for us this year. And their free agent acquisitions last offseason, very underwhelming, right? They didn't have any money to spend. Brandon Jones been one of the better safeties in the NFL this season. John Franklin Myers been a beast. Malcolm Roach has been good. Zach Allen's been insane. Jaquan McMillan's been good at corner for us. We lost Alex Singleton. They found ways to make it work. And then you got guys like Garrett Bowles and Cortland Sutton, who have been on this team through all the bad shit, haven't gotten to the postseason, and now they're finally in. So I think Broncos fans are really happy for those guys as well. Sutton gets a 1,000-yard season. He was the last Bronco to do it in 2019. So it's not just getting into the playoffs. It's as a fan, you're just excited for all the guys who were there and took all the shit, and they took tons of shit. And I'm obviously as guilty as anyone for giving them shit, but that's what you do with sports. Now they're on the opposite side of that. And again, like you just said, maybe the Bills kick the pee out of us. Doesn't matter. No. People who were all this just to get beat by the Bills next week, that's not an own. I
get to watch my team.
Most just happy to be here team the NFL has had for quite some time.
Just happy to be a part of this. Hey, Packers don't have an owner. I'm just saying. Yeah, we'll talk about the Jaguars and
that was a long tirade, Tom.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good, brother. Oh, by the way, I was reminded of this. So on Friday Night Q&A, I got some mail, and one of the notes was from a young person who said, also, can you please stop streaming with Perna? My mom doesn't let me watch him. So I thought I was reminded of that because you said in the beginning, you're like, yo, F them kids. And I was like, you know what? This plays very well. Very well.
Sorry, buddy. Somebody said that when I was streaming yesterday. And I said, that's a good mom. That's a good mom.
That's a good mom.
You know what? Mom. I don't disagree with her.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll talk about the Jaguars. We'll kind of recap some games. We'll talk about the
it's fucked up she does that, but I don't disagree with her.
I don't know how Trent Baalke I don't know what he has overshot. I do not. That man has done so little for that franchise and yet keeps on holding on. And it doesn't matter what coach they get. It doesn't matter who they bring in. If you have a crappy GM who can't do diddly squat, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, no idea. Hang on, Max.
He was director of player personnel for the Jags in 2020, then interim GM in 2020, then 21 to present their GM. He was with
the 49ers. The 49ers hated him. Like,
vice president of player personnel, then GM. I thought after his, time in San Francisco that he'd be done. His last season there was 2016.
Yep.
They got significantly better after he left. Now they drafted Brian Thomas. That was a nice draft pick. But that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
it is. So, I mean, I feel like for the Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. again having a phenomenal season, right? Like that's something to be really excited about. Trevor Lawrence got banged up. You hope that he can come back and look better next year. But man, like when you look at head coaching prospects, I feel like the talk around the league, like it has been through all of these head coaching vacancies for the Jaguars, is nobody wants to work with Baalke. Like nobody wants to do that. And Pederson wasn't answering directly to Baalke. Like that didn't make a difference. And I feels like I just don't understand as a fan what the hell you are doing. Because even if it comes down to straight up like laziness, like owner doesn't want to go find a new GM, that's why you hire people to go do that. Yeah. So I don't freaking know, man. And Mayo. Talk about Mayo.
Like there's this thought out there, right, from Shad Khan that the Jaguars coaching position isn't necessarily a desirable one. And he makes it less desirable by keeping Trent Baalke. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you're trying to attract a high-end talent to come in and coach your team, seems like a head coach going in with the GM that they respect or want to work with Trevor Lawrence still. And I think a lot of people, a lot of folks out there still believe Trevor Lawrence got some juice in the tank, Tom. Like, I think he is hurting his coaching search by keeping Baalke when he's trying to do the opposite, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
You need someone to bring the best.
Like when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch came kind of as a pair to the Niners, that's the situation. And that not just to say like they're coming in like following Baalke or whatever, but like that's actually a very good point I just made. But like you want that kind of united front,
like tandem
at the top of your team leadership.
Sure. And when you're coming out and saying like, hey, the new coach won't report directly to, like, that does not give you any pause. Pederson did the same thing. Like, it gives you no help, and it seems like there's even more of a disconnect. And I just don't know why he's there. I don't know if they re-sign McCarthy. I think they might. They're
having some conversations. Yep.
I think they might. The Jaguars, because we talk about Trevor Lawrence, and obviously he's dealt with some injuries, and the play, offense just has not lived up to the hype. And you need somebody to get in there and be like, hey, like, can we bring the best out of Trevor Lawrence, put him in the best situation here, give the offense the best shot? And I don't know. Baalke as GM, I don't think he hasn't done anything that has proven that. And I think that's concerning to say the least. Yeah, they need a head coach
who's got the balls to tell Trevor Lawrence it's time to cut his hair.
Caleb, happy birthday.
I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying you need somebody who's confident enough to tell him that.
Hey, those locks are basically
has
the only
any
good thing
long-haired
right now.
quarterback won a Super Bowl in the last 30 years? Yeah, I don't think so. Cut your damn hair, hippie, and maybe you'll win a Super Bowl.
Hey, just
now, he
start
doesn't have to, but he needs a coach who can say that.
Why?
Hey, man, it's time to get back to old school football. Also, you know, I just watched Remember the Titans not too long ago, and that worked for Sunshine. So,
hey, left side, strong side. Yeah, snow is coming. And yes, Cincinnati also fired their defensive coordinator, which, I mean, no real surprise there.
Lou is gone.
Yeah, they needed to. Again, it's not going to completely fix their team because they still need defense. And Hendrickson was so good. And I know a lot of folks are disappointed the Bengals are not going to be in the playoffs just because they're a fun team to watch. But, man, like, go back to week 1. I mean, the Bengals had it in front of them and unfortunately just could not get it done. Jerod Mayo, another guy who was axed literally like immediately after that game. The Patriots losing the number 1 overall pick in the draft. They dropped down a few spots, but Mayo also getting fired. And it feels like they had that ready to go like immediately after that game ended. Like they were drafting that. They were sending it in a Google Doc. They're like, okay, no, add this before the game even ended. So Mayo goes, which is, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Because I'm torn. I feel like I understand because rookie head coach. You good?
Yeah, just thinking.
Rookie head coach, right? But at the same time, you also kind of you're not thinking, what did you do?
I'm just thinking about how fucked the Patriots are.
Oh, okay. I don't think they're screwed. I think they just think that there's a better head coach that's out there. So, oof. You think
they could get Vrabel, it'll help. But, you know, it's nice to see a dynasty. And they've been in the real world for a while. And now they're just getting another dose of what the real world's like in the NFL. Maybe they got their quarterback, but now they still got to find a good head coach. Jags got their quarterback. How many coaches have they been through? Caleb Williams, Bears. Everybody thinks he's screwed. They got to find the guy. Finding a good head coach is tough. There's no formula. It is. I would like, what's tougher? Finding like a legacy head coach or your franchise QB. They are equally tough tasks. I believe the Pats were high on Mayo and probably for a lot of very good reasons, but they were wrong. It didn't work out. Their defense got worse.
Yes.
Their offense was horrible.
Awful.
They put a rookie quarterback in a bad situation. And even in that bad situation, why Patriots fans have hope is, Drake May. He's flashed. He showed enough this year where you should feel like, okay, I think we got a guy. I mean, hell, Joe Milton played pretty well yesterday too. But like, if it's Vrabel, if they did this because they know they can get Vrabel, then credit to them. Like, I think that'll be a nice hire. Although there's this I don't know, sentiment out there from probably Titans fans who are like, Vrabel's overrated. He's not actually that good of a head coach. I would argue your Titans got significantly worse without him. They now have the first pick in the draft, and the Patriots gave away their first pick. They had it, and then they had to beat the Bills. So
I feel like the Patriots aren't screwed. I feel like they need an offense. Like I think that's gonna go a long way. But because Drake May has shown flashes, and hey, QB looking good yesterday too. But I think because May has shown flashes, if he is the guy, that's going to make things a lot easier. They have a ton of cap space heading into this. They are the number 4 pick. So they just got to nail this hiring and they got to nail the draft. But I think it's very possible that they'll be in a better position, which, listen, they were almost the worst team in the league. So the bar is pretty darn low. But I feel like the questionable thing is when Mayo got hired, I think a lot of Patriots fans were like, okay, it seems like they didn't really go through a process. It kind of was just like given to him. And it was like, because it was promised to him. And so there was already this, I don't know if this is going to work out, animosity. And then as the season went on, it was just like, okay, no. And what I'm talking about of like, I'm a little torn on it because it is a rookie head coach, right? And I think that guys deserve time just like players to see if they can develop folks, because he was also handed Drake May, he got Drake May. They drafted Drake May, but they had no offense last year either. You know what I mean? Like the defense did get worse 100%. They traded Judon. I feel like at this point for the Patriots, Mayo was just kind of in a situation where I don't know if he was going to develop into a good head coach. I just also think he wasn't really given a fair opportunity because based off the roster that he had.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. That's very fair.
Nope.
It's just a reality of the NFL.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes you're not going to get a shot.
No one's boo-hooing. It's that's what it is. I mean, like, there's plenty of folks who are sitting here now, like the Giants, they're going to be retaining their GM and head coach. The Colts, they're going to be retaining their GM and head coach. The Dolphins, they're going to be retaining their GM and head coach. So there's folks today that are not very happy that there's not going to be changes. And when you have those head coaches and you have those GMs that are consistent, oh boy, just make sure that an extra thank you, an extra layer of gratitude, because you could be sitting here. The Falcons, look at Raheem Morris, man. The Falcons losing to the Panthers, which Bryce Young had a phenomenal game yesterday, and I'm super excited for him.
That was the best game
throughout the season. Yeah, 5 touchdowns. He was great. But the Falcons, they had one more win than last year. They didn't make the playoffs. They lost their division, and they had a division lead. They were like 6-3 at one point this season, and they let it tumble down to this. On top of that, they paid Kirk Cousins $1 gajillion. They're going to wind up getting rid of him in the upcoming weeks. But Michael Penix looks okay. So that's pretty solid. They can rebound, but it just feels like this season, besides Penix, who, again, they already paid Cousins a lot of money, they're in this weird position where I don't know if they have their head coach either.
I think you give Raheem Morris time. There's a couple interesting coaches who will get interviewed, I think, in this process. One is Arthur Smith, I think, is drawing some interest. And then also, just today, starting to see some, I think it's the Jets, Vance Joseph. People want to talk to Vance Joseph now as well. And when you're talking about like going through all these changes, I think one of the smart things the greatest corporation on earth, Walmart, did was keeping George Paton in as the Broncos general manager.
Sure.
And I don't think that was an easy decision.
No.
George Paton hired Nathaniel Hackett. Whiff. George Paton sent the farm over for Russell Wilson. Bigger whiff. Those are the two most important decisions he needs to make. He fucked up. He was wrong. But pretty good at evaluating talent through the draft. I think people like working for him. I think he and Sean Payton felt like they could be on the same page and work together harmoniously. And we talked about it last week, like the Broncos and some of the players they found without those draft picks looking pretty good. And now, like, you know, the Patriots or whatever, we're going to have some money going into this offseason.
Yeah.
So teams like the Giants keeping Joe Shane and Brian Dable, even though like the reports were flip-flopped this week, like, oh, looks like Dable's going to be gone and they're going to go with Joe Shane's. Like, who's saying that? Like, why would they do that? But the Colts keeping it there with Steichen and Ballard. And I know like some of these fan bases probably want changes in those areas. I think you got to hope like the Giants kind of learned from their mistakes. I don't know if Joe Shane's a good general manager. I would bet on Dable if I had to. The Colts, I think it doesn't make a lot of sense to make those changes this season since you have Anthony Richardson and you brought Anthony Richardson in with Shane Steichen as your coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Colts, to me, it sucks. Maybe next year's bad, but it feels like next year makes more sense to make changes. Otherwise, you're talking about the thing we've crucified the Bears for, right? It's like
sure
ripping the blanket out from your rookie QB, having no stability there, and the Colts would be, you know, a year further.
Sure,
but Richardson hasn't played enough for them to really qualify there.
Well, I think while, you know, there's some folks that are upset that they haven't gotten rid of, I think it's also good that they're not doing just one. You know what I mean? Because like if you were just getting rid of your head coach or you were just getting rid of your GM, that also can create some weird dynamics as well. And you're kind of in this like weird spiral of, all right, like as a head coach could be good as a kind of a lame duck GM, etc. So I think that there is some positives in there. I think the problem with fans is they're looking, or the problem that fans have, I should say, is that they are not seeing the results that they want to. And considering it is the NFL and it is fandom, it's like, we want those results right this second. That's where things are going to be a problem. Perna also got a fitty.
Stefan, thank you for rooting for the Broncos. Are you rooted for the Chiefs? Sorry, that was your mistake, idiot. My Bengals out of the playoffs. I will root for the Broncos for real this time. Hell yeah, Stefan. Mile high salute.
Gotta believe.
Like I actually listened to Brandon Perna's new Christian worship song before the game. That shit had me so ready to cook some Falcons. If you haven't heard it yet, it's a banger. I highly suggest wearing a helmet before listening to it because you will run through a wall or through a pathetic-ass Atlanta defense. Some haters are talking shit because 2 of my touchdowns were on screen passes, but I'll turn the other cheek and say you can eat my ass.
From the man himself.
That's a good point about the Broncos, though. Their offense is effective when they get yards out of those screen passes and quick passes, and they're able to do that against the Chiefs. One thing I will be looking for is them to have success if those things don't work.
Fair.
Good teams have taken that away from them, and it's made their offense very streaky. But thank you, Bo. I appreciate all the kind words.
Oh, yeah.
That was a very cool thing turned into, haha.
It's golden because I laughed about this on Twitter and people were like, oh, this is actually a really cool gesture. And I'm like, folks, the fact that the Lions and Vikings are engaging in this pettiness, I love it so much. I love that the Vikings literally just went and spent $2 million on 2,000 tickets on the secondary market, and some of their fans literally turned around and just sold the tickets regardless. I think it's really cool because, one, we have a scalping problem all over the place throughout sports, concerts, what have you, and we shouldn't even have to do this. We should have a fan portal where you just sell it for face value. That's neither here nor there. That's another day and another conversation. But no, this is phenomenal. And the Vikings, let's talk about that game for a minute. And no, I don't think it'll be a problem for the Chiefs because they've shown that they can do it before. I think the issue with the Vikings, because holy crap, Sam Darnold did not look good last night. There was a lot of high passes, and I know that he's had some of those this season. I've watched a bunch of Vikings games, but dude, he just blatantly missed some open receivers. The O-line did not give him any help, and it was a close game still, regardless of the fact that they couldn't do anything in the red zone. They couldn't do a thing. And still, I feel like there was times where they just tried to play the Lions game, and they're like, oh, well, let's do the Dan Campbell. Let's go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was just a slap in the face for the Vikings, who now, as a 14-win team, are the 5 seed, and now have to go on the road against the Rams, who they already lost to this season. But it's not over for the Vikings. Any shot, obviously, but holy crap, man. Anzalone being back, that Lions defense impressed the ever-living crap out of me. Because I thought we were going to get a shootout. I thought we were going to get a high-scoring game. But nope, that red zone defense, they held strong, and they looked really damn good.
Yeah, it was funny because the first play I noticed with Alex Inglezone was that it was a play where he whiffed.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, maybe, because I was trying to edit while that game was on too and shoot. It was like I think it was the long run by Cam Akers, and Alex kind of just picked the wrong lane. And Akers had that long run that went down the to the right sideline there. But other than that, like, I think like the coolest thing are like the photos of Aaron Glenn just chilling on the bench, looking so not worried about playing the second best team in the NFC. The Lions, I think they lined up in man coverage. I saw more than basically any team that played the Vikings this season. And Darnold was not good against man coverage. Terrion Arnold goes down in that game. So they're probably dressing up a ball boy in a uniform at that point and being like, go play fucking corner, dude. Like at this point, like, seriously, you can run backwards, right? Can you backpedal? Yep, you're a corner. You're a corner for this team. Go cover Jordan Addison. We'll put somebody else on Jefferson. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like a weird thing too when it's you're trying to credit the Lions defense who looked so bad against the 49ers versus how much did the Vikings kind of underperform in situations where they had guys open, because they did, and Darnold just missed them. Of course, I put out a Darnold video hyping him up on Friday, and he's got to do this. Thanks, Sam.
Shouldn't be surprised at this point.
Yeah, just another episode this year. I got that video out later than I wanted to, and then it just looks wrong immediately. But we'll see. Vikings got to go and play right now. And the Lions, they needed rest. That's a team that needs a week off. And Dan Campbell probably should be very high in Coach of the Year conversations. He's not. He should be. It's been KOC. Everybody, and us, me included, Kevin O'Connell, done a hell of a job. But we kind of forget, because the Lions have been good for 2 seasons now. They navigated probably the worst injury situation in the league. Incredibly lopsided on one side of the ball for them, and they've just figured out ways to win games. So if we're going to say the Niners had a bad off year because of injuries,
sure.
The Lions didn't use that as an excuse. And Jahmyr Gibbs took over that game. He just took over that game for the Lions.
4 touchdowns.
Just insane.
Yep.
And I picked him to win Super Bowl MVP before this season started. I think he's got a chance. He's got a pretty good chance.
Maybe. I mean, you mentioned this, the Lions were the team that needed that bye, because the Vikings, of course, they would have preferred it and would have liked it to have, home field advantage the entire playoffs. But in terms of just recovery, if this is what their defense looked like, and they got Anzalone back, and they can start getting some folks back, maybe start trickling back, I'm telling you, that team is going to be tough to beat at Ford Field, a difficult place to go in and play. It is rocking, regardless if there's 2,000 tickets that are sold to the Vikings. It's tough. So the interesting thing is the Packers obviously are going to be taking on the Eagles. If the Packers wind up winning that game, they're going to Detroit. And that's going to be tough, man. That's going to be tough. And who knows if the Vikings wind up winning, right? And the 6th-seeded Commanders wind up losing, the Vikings are going to be right back in Detroit again. So it's going to be interesting to see who go toe-to-toe with the Lions. So
it's
Landon, enjoy that. Go Pack, go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it's funny, the Lions, if they have to play the Vikings again.
Yep.
They have, the Chiefs.
Careful what you wish for, Steele.
The Chiefs are in such a good position this postseason, because they will only have to play the Bills or the Ravens if it comes down to that. They don't have to play them both because of the way seeding worked out, right? Detroit, if they got to play the Vikings in the second round, that's a tough matchup. Even though they just handled them, it's a tough matchup. So it's this year, the seeding has been boring in my opinion, and I think the Chiefs really, they got a nice spot, because if the Broncos upset the Bills, then the Chiefs play the Broncos, right?
Correct.
But Detroit, it'd be pretty cool that Alex Anzalone gets, another week for the steel plate they put into his arm to meld to his bones.
Yep.
Whatever, however healing works. Also, dude, the funniest shit happened yesterday during your Packers game. And I'm sorry, the way that ended for Green Bay.
Me too.
You guys got Cairo Santos to oblivion. So on Sunday, we got the winners and losers script. Johnny's in there relentlessly. I'm in there putting in, stuff. Will kind of just watches Johnny and I work through putting in clips. He goes in there, but he's not as on it as Johnny and I. So I see Johnny in there. Boom, boom, boom. And he's writing, the Packers fall to 1-5 against division opponents. I see him finish writing that sentence. And then the Bears fumble the ball. the Bears fumble the ball. And he deletes it, and he sees me right next to him, and he's like, I believed the whole time. And I like just fucking died laughing, watching him erase his own words. And then unfortunately he had to go back and put it back in.
Yep.
But I was like, he saw me see him write it, and it was very funny.
Fantastic.
And then but the Bears fumbling there they had the game won.
Yep.
And then they fumbled it away. It's such a Bears move.
Yep.
And then they got the field goal. So
Zach, only Perna can answer that question.
I would say it's the code red that divided your family, Zach. It was the code red.
Mountain Dew or?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. You know, let's talk about the Packers for a hot moment. So the Packers, I think, made Eagles fans feel a lot better, not just because they're going to be playing us again, but because we reinforced their decision not to start Saquon Barkley. Because the Packers, they put out some starters. Christian Watson seems to have suffered a pretty significant injury. Jordan Love got banged up. Thankfully, he avoided a significant injury, or that would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
And it really was just like the worst case scenario for the Packers. Matt LaFleur came out. Matt LaFleur had a horrible game yesterday. Because in terms of like the Packers, dude, they called a timeout. They called a timeout before they sent out McManus, which allowed the Bears to keep their timeout, which they wound up using to get into field goal range. And 2, McManus wound up hitting it, which thank God. But the play calling, they decide to do a jet sweep with freaking Jaden Reed again on like 4th and 3. And it's very frustrating. And now Watson is hurt. And the only reason Watson was playing, who was coming back from an injury, was because Romeo Doubs wound up getting sick a couple days ago. And they're like, we need another wide receiver. So they threw Watson out there. So now he has a non-contact injury on the opposite knee. And it is just a disaster all the way around.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. There's lots of pessimism that's heading in for Packers right now, Packers fans. The thing is the Packers, they improved on their record from last year. They won 2 more games because they headed into the playoffs 9-8. They're still the 7 seed, right? The problem where they definitely regressed was against the division. A 1-5 record against the division is rough. And they could have gotten swept if it wasn't for Carl Brooks's fingers literally stopping the field goal against the Bears earlier. And again, the Packers, I still think, are a good team. I still think they have yet to prove that they are a great team. It's kind of like what you were saying about the Broncos.
Yeah.
That they can hang with those really good teams. They can hang with the Vikings. They can hang with the Lions. They can hang with the Eagles. It's just a matter of putting it over the top. And obviously, they have some holes. They need They need to get additional pass rushers. They need some more corners. And they probably need another wide receiver day 2 or 3 if they go in the free agency. I'm sitting here, dude, and going, you never know. Jalen Hurts is banged up. We'll see him on Sunday. You never know. So I'm kind of looking at this saying we'll got to get a good feel of how the Packers are going to look against Philadelphia. McKinney came out and said basically it's the same exact thing every single week. They just got to perform. It's individual guys. That defense looked horrible on that final play. I don't know what the hell they were doing. All their D-backs were way, way back. It made no sense. So I think it just comes down to execution. Play calling was a definite problem yesterday. And it's like these little mistakes that just compound. And when you're going up against teams, especially in the playoffs, the margin for error is that thin. So,
yeah, I watched like the same thing happen to 2 teams. It was the Ravens and the Packers. And we'll see how it shakes out for the Ravens because Zay Flowers went down with a knee injury in that game. And now they're saying day to day with it, but that's a guy you don't want to lose in a game where sure you're playing for what the 3 seed, like who cares? Packers play like obviously I think the Packers actually had a little more to play for in terms of matchup in the first round there, but you have these starters out.
Yeah, it didn't even want to matter. The Commanders won, so they would even if they won, they wouldn't have gotten the 6th seed.
And the Ravens, Rashad Bateman takes a shot in that game, goes to the sideline. You're like, oh shit, I hope he's okay. It was like 2 plays later, Zay Flowers goes down. You're like, oh God, what does John Harbaugh do? He's running with Derrick Henry deep into the 4th quarter. I'm like, okay, like it's fine, and it's going to work out to be okay ultimately. But if I'm in that situation and I see Zay Flowers go down, I'm like, okay, Lamar, you're coming out. Henry, you're coming out. We're gonna save something for the playoffs because I don't want to risk losing anybody. It's a tough decision, I think, for coaches to make. Guys want to play, obviously. You don't want to put certain guys at jeopardy with not having your starters out there. Looks like the Ravens will be all right. And I saw a post-game speech with Derrick Henry in the locker room. And I think the Ravens are going to benefit from having a guy like Henry in there, not because of, he's insanely talented, but he's never been. It's been a while since he's been on a team this good.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how rare these opportunities are. And I think having a guy to remind players who are on a good team who have been getting to the playoffs to be like, this is when we've got to double down on shit and we've got to be better. You got to go out and do it, but they've got a guy who I think is going to deliver in the playoffs in Derrick Henry. So it was kind of cool to see. But yeah, it was the Watson injury for the Packers was the one I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough.
Because the offense is better when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Again, there's been so much crap said about Christian Watson, and I'm honestly just so over it. And he's on a rookie contract, literally is costing the team $0 and is obviously making the team better. Is anybody happy that he's getting injured? No. But it's the different injuries every time. It's a freak injury. Somebody lands on him a couple weeks ago. This one's a non-contact injury. It ain't the hamstring anymore. So what are we talking about? So we'll see what that contract eventually looks like, but we don't have to worry about that right this second. But yeah, man, it sucks because he shouldn't have been playing. But at the same time, he kind of had no choice because they had to put somebody out there because Romeo Dobbs got sick. And it's just, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it comes back and it bites them. And the Packers, it's just going to be tough to beat the Eagles. That's it.
Yeah, dude, it's an interesting matchup. Mm-hmm. We'll talk more about that.
The Jets. I think it is the greatest thing in the world that the final game and the Cardinals did this too, that is meaningless. Aaron Rodgers goes out and balls out, gets 4 touchdowns against the Dolphins, who need a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Obviously didn't matter because the Broncos wound up winning. But holy crap, man. Now it's all watching the narrative change in real time. Aaron Rodgers a bum. He can't play. Garbage. No one's going to want him next year. To flipping it around while that game's going on, go, a lot of teams are going to be looking at this game and they're going to potentially want Aaron Rodgers. And who knows, maybe he'll stay with the Jet. It is the most Jets thing to do that he shows up at the end when it does not matter. He got over 500 touchdowns, which, hell yeah, congratulations. That's dope as hell. But Jets, buddy, I don't even know where you begin. They're requesting to interview Matt Nagy as a head coach. Matt Nagy. If you hire Matt Nagy, you deserve all the pain and suffering. I'm not talking to Jets fans. I'm just talking to the Jets organization as a whole. Just holy crap, man. Chargers get the 5 seed. They're probably going to beat the Texans, but
I was literally just trying to bring this up, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dude.
Yeah, Jets looking to speak to Matt Nagy.
Yep. Shaggy with a fade for the Kenny. Hey, feels good, babe. Feels
Beat
good.
A bad team. Hey, take it. Take it when you can.
That's it. Dude, I mean, the names that have been associated with the Jets, you have Rex Ryan, you got Matt Nagy,
Dude, hire Rex Ryan, bring Nagy in as your OC. Bam.
And Rex Ryan already talked about, he's like, day one, I'm firing. I'm getting rid of Aaron Rodgers. He's like, I would not bring back Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Hey, I had to test it. Get out of here.
Still a great clip. It's a great clip. Continue what you're saying.
I wasn't saying anything.
You're saying Matt Nagy OC? That's what you want? I see what you're pulling up. I see what you're pulling up. I see what you're looking at.
Oh, no, well, I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up, but.
Oh, no, I'm totally down to talk about it. Hold on, let's get through football first, and then we can talk about this actual crap show that's going on. Would you have sex with Skip Bayless for $1.5 million? No. No. And it's mostly because of his football takes.
Yeah. I mean, I could push my, my sexual boundaries, but if I had to hear him talk about them Cowboys afterwards,
can't do it.
No, deal over.
Can't do it. Yeah, Pole's going to be sticking around. I mean, again, Bears, they got some optimism. They need an offensive line. They need to nail this head coaching hire. They already requested to interview Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. They're like, anybody, come on down.
Dude, I really hope the Lions figure out a way to convince Johnson and Glenn to stay. Like, and that's the thing with, I don't know why people, I mean, maybe Matt Nagy didn't get a fair shake in Chicago, right? They kind of overperformed with Trubisky. They were a doink away from advancing in the playoffs, right? Like, that's what you're looking at for Nagy. Because, like, what he's doing with the Chiefs, that should impress nobody.
Nobody.
I could go be their offensive coordinator. You've got Andy Reid calling the plays, or at least, and Andy Reid is such a nice coach. He'll be like, nah, the other guys. Look at what the fuck's going on with Eric Bieniemy? He can't even keep a college gig right now. You got Patrick Mahomes and you got Andy Reid. Your offensive coordinator, whatever his role is, completely irrelevant. I'm happy Matt Nagy's there. And yeah, he might want a head coach again, but just sit there and enjoy that, Nagy. Why would you go try and coach in a worse situation when you can maybe three-peat this year? Nagy will be a much more enticing candidate next year because the Chiefs' offense wasn't fun this year, but they weren't healthy, right? All of their Pacheco was down. Well, they might be without Rice, depending on suspension next year. Who knows how long? Hollywood Brown, 1-year deal, but they were doing it with guys we weren't expecting them to play with. I think the Chiefs' offense will be better next year. You will look like a better candidate next year. But like, I don't get this. Like Vance Joseph, you want to bring him in as a head coach as well because he's coaching up the Broncos defense? How? I hope if Vance wants another opportunity, maybe he gets it somewhere. Cardinals defense, he didn't do shit with them. Like, it's like these 1 year like success stories are like, got to get that guy. I don't know, man. I think how head coaches are evaluated is a little odd, but
well, we do this every year. I mean, like it's every time. Like look at Nathaniel Hackett with the Packers, right? So like it was like all the gold
whole coaching cycle.
Dude,
Hackett,
and this is why it's difficult too because coordinators, it's always hit or miss. They can absolutely crush it in their role, and there could be a million reasons why they're crushing it. It could be players. It could be, the head coach itself. It could just be the scheme. It could be a number of things. But, dude, when you have... I am 100% about, like, giving coaches who have been coaches before, like, second chances, especially in certain areas. But, like, when we're talking about Ron Rivera, like, when we're talking about... like Matt Nagy, I'm like, guys, I don't know if we missed anything. I don't know. I don't even know if we need to see it again. And again, maybe they're just doing their due diligence, right? But oh boy, buddy, like it is.
Dude, I hope the Jets hire Rex Ryan. I hope they hire Rexy.
Why not?
Thank you, Shaggy Stack. Who am I? Cam Newton knows.
Cam Newton does know.
The funny, see here, Jets hire Rex Ryan. They name Rivera their defensive coordinator. They bring back Adam Gase for their OC. And they offer Sam Darnold a lot of money. Boom. There you go, Jets.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
Sam Darnold, too, not playing well. I think the thing to keep in mind is that's his first like actual big game he's played in the NFL. He hasn't played in a game that important ever in his career. I think his nerves got the best of him. So now you're asking, like, can he handle the big moment? That's fair, but like,
sure.
It was also his first time. Sure. I know he's been in the league for multiple years, but you never had a big game with the Jets.
Well, I think with Sam Darnold right now is everyone's been asking. You made a whole video about it, right? Of like, what do the Vikings do?
Yeah.
This is why we can't answer this question, because we have to see what he does in the postseason.
Yeah.
If he puts up a goose egg against the Rams, guess what?
Yeah.
They ain't bringing him back. Like
that was the point I got to, is like, he's going to have to shart in the bed so hard that they throw out the mattress with Sam Darnold to not bring him back.
Yeah.
And I think that they will bring him back. I think how he plays in the postseason will affect the type of contract they offer him.
I agree with that.
If he plays really well, then you're comfortable kind of giving him what he wants. I think the Vikings in an ideal world want to give him a 3-year deal, right? It's a 3-year deal. Most of the money is guaranteed up front, where there's flexibility in that third season if they do decide to move on from him.
Yes.
He's played at a high level all season. 3 years is a nice number for him because it gives him a year to evaluate JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
JJ can come in if he gets hurt, like all those things. Sam probably wants your more traditional 4 to 5 year contract, would be my assumption. If he's willing for 3 years, I think that's what they do. They bring him back 3 years, they keep JJ, and they move forward that way. But, we'll see. If Sam's got to play well in at least one playoff game for them to feel, I think, comfortable for a contract extension. But
agreed, because then they'll just rock with the rookie contract that they have with JJ.
Perna raid. Who the fuck is Perna?
2024, what a year. What a year.
That was week 1, right?
What a year. What a year. Cody, maybe. We'll definitely be streaming it together for the GPS Bowl. We're rocking.
We'll be streaming, dreaming.
We'll get it done. Titans also have the number 1 overall pick now. So lost as the Oilers once again to the, actual Houston Oilers.
Yeah.
And they got the number 1 overall pick. Very curious to see what they're going to wind up doing with it. The Browns, they have the 2nd overall pick. And it seems like there is some concern amongst the fan bases of, oh God, how are we going to screw this up from both organizations? Do we go out and we get a quarterback? Do we trade it for a haul?
Yeah. I feel like I know who if the Titans stay put. Well, I guess maybe this is.
I did see that Yankees. Yeah, they cut away to commercial when Gronk was starting to get into it. He's like, oh, you got a rookie head coach. And they're like, oh, we got to go to commercial break. Got to go.
Yeah. Maybe they go Cam Ward. Who's the freaking? I feel like Mason Graham is the most Titans pick at that spot on their defensive line. But maybe that's just the Titans of old. Let's just keep building this insane defensive line.
They need some weapons, man. They need weapons.
They need a lot of shit. They are a bad team.
They are. Perna wins a Super Bowl. Who knows what he's going to do? Oh, boy.
Your boner has not gone away after 4 hours, but that's okay, Broncos fans. That's okay. God bless Bo Nix.
Thanks. There you go. Titans, man, they got options. I mean, they need a quarterback, but I think if there is a team that is willing to trade up to 1, you might say, okay, someone's going to get a Hunter. Someone's going to go and they'll get a dynamic playmaker, and maybe, that'll be the guy to replace AJ Brown. Maybe.
Yeah. So Travis Hunter going number 1 overall to the Titans?
Maybe. That's what I could see. Or you just trade down.
You mean future Philadelphia Eagle? Travis Hunter?
God. Oh, God.
2 years with the Titans. Travis Hunter looks great. Boom. Gone.
Yeah, John.
I don't know, man.
Totally understand that perspective. Yeah, I mean, listen, Mayo's gone. They have to think that there's someone else better out there. I'm curious to see. Curious to see. So, appreciate you, bud. Congrats on that number 1 seed. All right, Purdy, did we talk about what we need to talk about? Chargers are the 5 seed. Arizona, I put out in every fans. If the Cardinals believed that every game was meaningless, they'd be an undefeated team. That sounds about right. They showed up today exactly when it did not matter and blew out the 49ers.
I think that was the least relevant game of the week.
Hey,
Yeah,
Bonito.
the Broncos wouldn't have lost, though. The Broncos wouldn't have lost. Oh.
Hey, if the Broncos lost, the Bengals would have been in. It would have been in because the Dolphins, good God,
Yeah.
the Dolphins.
I don't think the Bengals would have beat
yeah.
the Bills, though. That's what everybody was assuming. The Bengals would beat the Bills, and that's why the Chiefs are scared. I just think the Bills are they're a much more well-rounded team than the Bengals, obviously. Bills are doing a lot of things well.
Tyreek Hill?
Ooh, yeah.
Like,
What's Tyreek's deal?
Tyreek is like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be doing here. Got to leave that door open. People start immediately asking, they're like, where does Tyreek Hill go? I go, send him to the Patriots. So just stay within the division. Just go to the Patriots. They need a wide receiver. Why not? Why not? I disagree, Professor. I could not disagree more. Divisional games, like, that's what makes rivalries. That's what makes this fun. So win your division, you get a home game. And for the Vikings, if they're able to, hey, potentially, if they're the highest seed remaining, they'll still get a home game. You know what I mean? They're going on the road now. They're going to go on the road the second round. But hey, if they're the top seed that's remaining in the NFC Championship game, they're going to be hosting it. That's it. You got to win it within your division. Because look, right, the Vikings did so well. Came down to one game. They didn't get it done. Yeah. They got their ass kicked last night.
Yeah.
Got to win your division.
I like the spin right now for Steelers. For the Steelers.
Oh, boy.
Steelers fans. They're the first team. Let me double check my note here.
Hell yeah, Eric.
Let me double check my note.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me double check.
I said this to every fan. I wish that I had the job security that Trent Baalke had.
We all do.
Wish. My God.
They are the third team in NFL history to enter the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak. The Steelers. And now I see a lot of, the Steelers, they want to play the Ravens. This is the matchup for them. They match up well against the Ravens, actually. That might have been true 8 weeks ago. This version of the Steelers is not a good football team right now. They are not a good football team. They don't want the Ravens right now because they're familiar with them.
It's the one thing I will say about that matchup is I think that was, besides playing against the Texans, right, which I think they would have definitely preferred. Yes. That's the second best matchup that they could have hoped for because it is a divisional game like that. And it's only because it's AFC North football. And I feel like the way that this game is going to go is either the Ravens are going to kick the absolute crap out of them, or there's going to be so much BS that they'll be able to pull off like a 1-point victory. The problem is Pickens, good God, he was horrible on Saturday. And after all the crap that was talked and after all, he's just getting it back tenfold. But the Steelers, they're limping into the playoffs. They're not looking like a good team. I know lots of folks are upset. They're talking about Tomlin, all that great stuff. I think Saturday, we'll see how close it's going to be. We'll see how close it's going to be. It's going to be something. There you go, Xavier.
Yeah, they get the Ravens.
It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game because the Ravens are also playing very well. The thing about the playoffs, you just got to show up once. You got to show up once.
I want let's see here. So the Chargers will probably beat the Texans. So then the Chiefs in the second round, if that happens, will get the Chargers.
True.
I like that. The Steelers, I don't think they have snowball's chance in hell of beating the Ravens.
Okay.
Denver, Buffalo, we'll see. I think the Broncos will play a respectable game. Ultimately, the Bills will win because they are the better team. But, yeah.
So you're thinking what? We're going to get, I'm assuming, Bills, Ravens for the divisional round, and we'll get
I think
maybe
so.
Chargers. That could be interesting. Chiefs, Chargers could get real interesting if it's an AFC West matchup. Bills, Ravens, I'd like that. Bills, Ravens would be, I'd be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think it might be Troy Taylor.
That's rough.
Yeah, dude, that is very rough. Yeah, and then on the NFC, you have the Eagles playing the Packers, right? The Bucks, they're going against the Bucks Commanders. They put on Sunday night, which originally I was like, I don't know about that. But I will say, we're going to see Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. If Lattimore is able to play again, that's going to be fun. That should be a fun game.
Yeah. When do the Packers play?
They play right after you on Sunday. Literally back to back. So you're at 1 o'clock. We're at 4:30.
Yeah.
Sandwich right there in the middle.
And who gets the Monday night game?
That is the Vikings because they just played on Sunday night, so they wanted to give them enough time. So it's the Vikings-Rams.
Vikings-Rams. Okay.
So it should be, again, I'm excited for these playoff matchups. We're looking at the NFC. If the Eagles wind up winning, right, they'll face, dude, oh boy. If the Buccaneers Commanders is a tough game to predict. I'm going to take some time on that one.
Yeah. I mean, either team can win that game.
Yep.
They're both a little volatile. Neither one is a perfect team. Dude, if the Buccaneers would have played better in the first half of that game, I would probably lean towards Tampa, but
yeah. Well, could be.
The Saints really held their own.
They did. And again, divisional matchups, you never know. And the Saints still get to say screw the Falcons, which is always great.
Yeah.
Hey, Lions, what a turnaround. What a freaking fracking turnaround. Yeah, no, David, it's bad. Again, we haven't had it confirmed yet, but they are going to need another wide receiver, whether it's going to be in the draft or free agency. The good news is, like I said, the Packers have $62 million in cap space. They have 3 positions that they need to address, and they can do that in the draft and in free agency.
So. Do they think Watson might have tore his ACL?
Go back up. Again, I have not seen anything to confirm. Let's see. But
the Seahawks.
It's non-contact. Yeah, it's non-contact. And on top of that, LaFleur said he didn't feel confident about it. He had to get carted off. So it does not look good.
Yeah, no, I know it. Yeah, I didn't know. They thought maybe, I thought it was like, I didn't think it was an ACL. I didn't know. There you go. Breaking news.
Oh, there you go, Seahawks. I know you've been asking for it. There you go.
Geck bust. Oh, boy. I want Sam Darnold to play well. I got to be right about something.
It's true. It's true. This is not surprising at all. Yeah, no. Grubb, it just didn't look like he was going to be the guy.
Grubhub.
It's what if he doesn't kind of suck, Perna?
Oh, I thought it said, what if he does suck?
I know, but it's not.
I retract my middle finger and give you a thumbs up. I'm just so used to people shitting on me. Metaphorically.
Of course. All right. If you have some time, I know we're going a little bit over. You want to talk about that Fox Sports stuff?
I didn't even read it.
I saw glimpses of it yesterday, and then this morning looked into it a bit more. Good God, man. Like, it's true, Penguin. It is not so great. So if you want me to pull it up or you got it?
I'll get it here. Was it Awful Announcing did the article?
Yeah, but now it's all over the place. You can find it all over. Yeah, so apparently...
there's a lawsuit, right?
Yeah, there is a lawsuit that's being filed against Fox Sports in which Joy Taylor apparently... Again, allegedly, it is being, there is a hairdresser who was basically raising some allegations that Joy Taylor was sleeping with, or was offered money, I think, right? Was Skip Bayless, was sleeping with one of the top execs at Fox to get on a show. And on top of that, also there was, oh my God, was it Emmanuel
Ocho?
Yes, he was there as well. And it does not, again, it's a lawsuit, it's allegations, nothing has been confirmed yet. But dude, if this stuff is true, holy crap, like how damaging to the freaking industry, dude. Like it's such a joke of how you can allow like this kind of culture to exist within this organization. And it also is such a slap into the face, like the people who work their asses off to try and get into those positions, to get airtime, to get these spots. It sucks, man. Again, it's allegedly, it's in the lawsuit, but it's not good.
I think like there's sexual harassment allegations being claimed against Skip Bayless.
Yep.
And that he offered his hairdresser $1.5 million to sleep with him. That's one allegation, right? I think like the Joy Taylor thing, like was the other part of it is she was aware of the harassment to the hairdresser. And I think there was something that about her telling the hairdresser to like, what is it?
Good team, not great team. That's what I think about the Seahawks.
Was aware of it, basically didn't do anything about it. And then there's the sleeping with executives or whatever allegations as well. I don't really care as much about that. I think it's weird when you start to get into that territory, but it's like this thing like if it's true, it's like, but like Skip Bayless having that much power there for that long, last like 3 years, and then they finally fired him, moved on from him this last year, and like, how do you allow that to go on if it's true?
Mm-hmm.
What part of you thinks like that's how you run a successful show? And you're right. Like the worst part is it takes away from so many people who do these jobs so well and put so much time and effort into it. And it becomes like this meme and it gets gross on Twitter specifically, like when something like this happens versus like having empathy for the situation. It just becomes like this sexualized sort of one-sided trashing of people when you don't even know the story.
Send the invite, Mike.
It's bizarre.
Congrats,
but
yeah, man, it sucks because again, you talk about like the culture aspect of it and being like, yeah, this is the way that we want to run things. Like, and it's coming from executives too, again, allegedly, but like it's such a disappointment. And I know we have talked a lot about sports media. You have done countless videos on sports media.
Yeah.
And talking about why there has been this shift over to YouTube and to other creators to be like, hey, we're not just having talking heads or people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. And in this situation, if this situation is true about folks getting opportunities over other folks, they're not the most knowledgeable. It's disappointing to say the very least, because again, the work that folks are doing to get into these spots and they're not being showcased, it's just disappointing and it hurts the entire industry. So, and like you mentioned too, like Skip Bayless having that kind of power is gross. It does not, and it takes away from the content and the sports and the football, and unfortunately just sheds a light on some nasty crap instead. So, yeah, not good at all. That's true, Brandon. That's true. Very, very true. Look at that seating. But hey, now they can just come on over to folks. Can come over to YouTube. They can buy their subscribers and have a nice day.
It gives, if like it's something you want to do, you have the opportunity to connect with people who care about what you care about in sports. Yeah. And you can talk about it the way you want to talk about it. And then you have to put in the work and be relentless and build on a platform. And the platforms are out there. And that's before the platforms were controlled by other people's, right? Executives. And that's why shit like this happens. Other people are in control and they have the say. On YouTube, you're at the mercy of YouTube, but they give you the opportunity to do things your own way. It's
build the fan base from there, and your bosses or that, or if you have sponsors, what have you. We did talk about it a little bit. Don't know where he's gonna go though. It's just, dude, it's not good. We're waiting for more details to come out. I'm sure there'll be statements that will be released and all that, but it's
fucked up.
Not good at all. But Perna, my friend, what do you got coming out, buddy? That is very true. That's true.
Hopefully we'll have winners and losers up tonight.
Yeah, Dolphins, man. Dolphins. It is a rough way to end the year if you're a Dolphins fan, because it doesn't look like there's many changes except Tyreek Hill is going to probably be leaving. It looks tough. It looks tough. Hey Wes, appreciate that a lot of you. Appreciate you. You got pee, buddy?
Always. Okay. I'm good though.
I'm trying. Okay.
I'm good. You can get through all these supers.
Yeah, I fell behind. I know we talked about a lot today.
Yeah.
We did. We're fine. We're fine. I mean, listen, Saints fans, I understand. I mean, Saints fans, sorry. Steelers fans, I get it. I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. You guys go, okay, we don't want Tomlin anymore. There are like 28 other teams that will scoop him up immediately. You do. Thank you, Perna. Thank you for that, by the way. That was really appreciated. That was very, very appreciated. So that'd be fantastic. We're wonderful. Fine. Hey, or Arthur Smith. There you go. Get Arthur Smith as well. That's fine. That's fine. I just put out every NFL fan's reaction to Week 18 before GPS, so you can go and check that out today. If the NFL was scripted, Week 18, that is going to be a time because there was a lot going on. Ooh, Robert Saleh might be pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming Raw tonight. We will see. I might wind up getting into that. I just depend on timing. So, Carter, I believe in you. I think you could do it. I will say real quick about Nix. I know they were going against backups, but I was watching a bunch of that game. He seemed so confident with some of those throws, dude. There was some, I know it's against backups and stuff, but he looked pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
Nix, he's been confident all year.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
And it's just about seeing like more consistent play from Bo against, better competition. That's really what it's going to boil down to. Like,
it's a good question.
Next season. Sure, obviously the playoffs, but yeah, I mean, they destroyed them.
Do you think there's any playoff coaches getting fired?
Playoff coaches getting fired?
McDaniel is safe. They already said he is. Do you think?
No.
Bowles and Tomlin are and that's coming from fans.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to actually get any movement on that.
Yeah, I think they already said Mike McDaniel's job is good.
He's safe.
He's safe.
He's safe.
Or Mike McDaniel.
Broncos are the most different players to make a sack this season with 15 and a half different players.
Wow, good stat. Oh, is it true? Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
We have to talk about it. I don't know if we're streaming. Are we streaming Bills Broncos together?
Maybe.
Okay. Right.
We'll see.
Well, moms won't, kids might not be able to watch, but
kids will not be able to watch.
That's fair, Gold. Keep the reverse psychology going. Keep it going. You're good. You're good.
It's gonna be weird rooting against the Bills. Tell you what, I got to root against the Bills.
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose my wife over my girlfriend. You kidding me? This is crazy.
Maybe. There'll be some extra stuff on at the end of all videos. Appreciate you, Rose. Appreciate you. Hey, listen, lots of happy Broncos fans that are out there today.
We earned it.
I just have to remember to do it. I have to survive today, and then I will try to remember it because pick'ems are over. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is true. That is very, very, very true.
Playoff pick'em bracket.
Yeah, well, he's gone from Fox now, so yeah. Well, listen, now that all the videos are coming out too, like, and it's just like they're getting reposted on Twitter, being like, "Oh, that's a little interesting." Whoa, shocking if true.
One time to have a child, and one time only.
Hey, there you go. That's true, Whip. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Final question, Brandon Perna. Aaron Rodgers, done or not? I do think last night was a good send-off for him, but is it enough to entice him to go play for another team?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't predict what that man does.
Should be.
Feels like he should retire. Feels like it's time.
Should be. Pretty much.
But you play one good game like that, you're like, maybe I still can do it. Maybe I still can do it.
Hey, Perna, 1 for 1. Let's go, folks.
What's impressive?
You said slept with Jess one time, baby.
Oh, I bat 1,000.
Folks, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you for scripted later. Winners and losers coming out from Perna. We'll be back on Wednesday for GPS. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi, and that is Brendan Perna. This is GPS, and you have been navigated.
And you reach your destination.
Playoffs, here we go.
The playoff, baby.